Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and welcome to week 12 of Big Balls Fantasy Football. I am your host, Jenilee, and my co-host, Greg, is not with me once again. We've been doing this a few times this season, but we're on holiday vacation right now, so we're doing things a little bit different, but he will have his week 12 picks for you. Of course, I'm going to have mine as well. But I wanted to start off and get into this Bears-Broncos game a little bit. We always talk Bears at the beginning of our show. And, this was a game that was a low-scoring, close game, a game the Bears very much could have won, but mistakes happened, and of course, they got really stuck in the red zone. This is nothing new for the Bears. This has been happening all season with our offense. We're able to move the ball, but we are not able to score once we get in the red zone. Robbie Gould was kicking a lot of field goals. So, of course, we know that Brock Osweiler was the starter for the Broncos because Peyton Manning was out on injury. And, the Broncos had a good game plan. They did not expect him to do too much. They didn't make him do too much. Their game plan was to run the ball down the Bears' throats, and they definitely did that. Our Bears defense is better at stopping the pass than the run, but we had some key guys missing. Antrell Roll was out. Pernell McPhee, he was in and out, but he didn't play very much. So some of our key guys that stopped the run were not in there, and that was a big problem for us. Let me just go through the stats for fantasy-wise. Osweiler passed for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, so he did not turn the ball over, which is, of course, what you want out of your quarterback. Ronnie Hillman rushed for 102 yards, C.J. Anderson 59 yards, Owen Daniels caught 4 for 69 yards, Vernon Davis 6 for 68 yards, so those tight ends were hurting our Bears defense a little bit. They held Demaryius Thomas 3 receptions for 59 yards, but he did get a touchdown, and that second touchdown went to Latimer, and he had 2 receptions for 22 yards. So again, a low-scoring game. Both teams were really battling back and forth, so the stats were not amazing by any means, but you did get a couple touchdowns from people. On the Bears side, Cutler did not have the best game of the season. I know he's been playing better this season, but once again, turnovers happened to him. He passed for 265 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and 1 fumble. So again, 2 turnovers, no touchdowns by your quarterback is not going to get it done. As we all know, I'm not a Cutler fan. Kadeem Carey rushed for 32 yards. He went out with injury. Langford only had 25 rushing yards in this one, but he did score the 1 touchdown that the Bears had. Marquise Wilson had 4 receptions for 102 yards. Josh Bellamy had 4 receptions for 57 yards. Zach Miller, our tight end that's been going off, he was held in check. He only had 3 receptions for 47 yards. And Bennett, our other tight end, of course, had 2 for 26. Bennett drew a lot of pass interference calls, so that was the biggest thing that he did in the game since he didn't have many receptions. But we were missing Eddie Royal. We were missing Alshon Jeffrey. Again, that's tough for the offense when you're missing those major weapons. But no excuses. This is the NFL. Everyone has injuries. They needed to get it done. They didn't get this one done. So there are your fantasy stats for that game. I'm going to take a quick break and move it on to my Real Men segment in just a second.
I need a real man. Have you seen him?
Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to week 12 of my Real Men segment. I, of course, have 2 go hard and 2 go soft picks for you guys this week to get you through your fantasy week. Playoffs are coming up, man. They are coming up in 2 to 3 weeks. Right now, I am in the playoffs in all 3 of my leagues. We'll have to see if I can continue it over the next couple weeks. I need a couple more wins to guarantee it. But I am definitely locked in one of my leagues already. I already clinched a playoff spot, so that feels good. I'm at my mom's right now for Thanksgiving vacation, so we have a new setup going on. But it's pretty awesome to be here, spending some time with family. And I plan to eat a lot of food tomorrow and watch a lot of football. So let's move it on with my picks. My first go hard pick is tight end Delanie Walker versus the Raiders. He's one of those tight ends this season that's been really under the radar, but he has been getting you a lot of fantasy points. He has more than 50 yards receiving in 7 games this season. For tight ends, that's a really good amount of receiving yards because we know tight ends tend to be very up and down. One game they'll get you 70 yards, another game they'll get you 30. So he has been really consistent. Last week he had 8 receptions for 109 yards. and he has a team-high 66 targets. So he's the guy that Mariota is really looking for in the field. It's kind of his safety net. Of course, you have a rookie QB, but Mariota is able to find Delanie Walker, and Delanie Walker has been making some excellent catches this season, so he's been getting it done and helping Mariota out. This week, like I said, they play the Raiders, and Oakland has given up a touchdown to a tight end in every single game except for 2. So this looks like a great opportunity for Delanie Walker to again go 50 yards or more for you, and I think he can get you another touchdown this week, so you have to get him in your lineup for sure. Now let me move it on to my second go hard pick, and that is wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins against the Saints. This kid this year has just been killing it. If you drafted him, you probably didn't have to draft him very early in your draft, and he has been definitely getting it done for you. He's been going nuts. He has over 100 yards in 5 games this season, and he has the most touchdowns out of any wide receiver this season so far with 9. So that is very impressive. Again, he's had the quarterback carousel over there, so he hasn't even been having the same quarterback throwing to him, and he's still putting up these amazing numbers. Like I said, they play the Saints, and the Saints defense sucks. We know this. The Saints are 31st versus the pass, and they have given up a league-high 28 passing touchdowns. So that secondary is looking ugly over there. And this is a home game for the Texans. And the Texans are in it in this division. They are fighting to win the division. So every game for them is important right now. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be the guy that they're looking for. He's going to get you a touchdown for sure this week. I don't know why you'd sit him anyways, but get him in your lineup because I think he's going to get you a big amount of points. Let me move it on to my go soft picks. Now, last week I told you Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to get you a lot of points, and I told you Gronk wasn't going to get you a lot of points. Aaron Rodgers did okay, but he didn't have an amazing game by any means stat-wise. And Gronk was nowhere to be seen on Monday Night Football. So if you paid attention to me, you didn't get a lot of points. These are the guys that I'm not necessarily telling you to sit, but you might want to think about sitting on because they're not going to get you as many points this week. My first go soft is quarterback Matt Ryan versus the Vikings. And for 2015 right now, Matt Ryan has 2,982 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, and 3 fumbles. Yeah, 10 picks and 3 fumbles. He has been turning over the ball quite a bit, especially as of lately. So, the Falcons tend to be a team that they start off hot, they look good at the beginning of the season, and then they just go downhill from there, and that's what's happening with them. That's what's been happening with Matt Ryan. In the first 5 games, he threw only 4 interceptions, and in the last 5 games, he's thrown 6. So again, those turnovers are really hurting them. Now, they play the Vikings. This is a defense that is under the radar, that has been getting it done this season, and the Vikings haven't allowed any quarterback to pass for more than 2 touchdowns in a game. And they've only allowed 1 quarterback to pass for over 300 yards in a game. So this defense is not playing around. I think this is not going to be a fun game for the Falcons or Matt Ryan. If there's another quarterback out there, you're going to want to go pick up another quarterback. Let me move it on to my last go soft, my last pick of week 12, and that is running back Todd Gurley versus the Bengals. Now, I know you're saying Todd Gurley has been losing his mind. He's getting all these 100-yard games, and he's getting in the end zone. But I don't really like this matchup for him this week. The Bengals have only given up 3 rushing touchdowns this season so far. So even though the Bengals are allowing some rushing yards by these running backs, they are really holding these running backs in the red zone. So I think it's going to be a lot harder for Gurley to get you a touchdown this week. And the last 2 games, he's really been held in check quite a bit. He only had 45 rushing yards versus the Bears, and he only had 66 rushing yards versus the Ravens. So the last 2 weeks, teams are figuring out how to shut him down, and most of that is because the Rams cannot do much in the passing game. So defenses know, hey, if we stop Gurley and we stop the run, the Rams aren't going to be able to do much else. So, there's a lot of stacking 7, 8 in the box to stop the run, and it's starting to show. And also, the Bengals have only allowed 1 running back to rush for over 100 yards. So again, they're not allowing running backs to go crazy this year. And I just don't like this matchup for Gurley. I don't think he's going to get you 100 yards. I think he's going to have a tough time getting in the end zone. so don't expect a ton of points from him. So there you go. Those are my Week 12 Real Men picks, and happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Please enjoy some football. Be safe on Thanksgiving, of course, for the holiday. I know there's a lot of travel, and just enjoy your family. Now we're going to move it on to Greg. He has his beasting out picks for everyone, and I'm sure he has a nice little holiday message for you guys too.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Big Balls Fantasy Football. It's Greg the Beast, and I want to wish everyone out there here in Week 12 in the NFL and Fantasy a happy Thanksgiving. Have a great time with your families watching football. It's my favorite day to watch games next to the Super Bowl and opening weekend, of course. As you can see, Jenilee has already given her picks. And the reason we're doing our segment separate this week is so Jenilee can spend time with her family and I can spend time with my family. And we're going to enjoy watching some football on Thanksgiving and having some damn good food for sure. So let's get right into it. But actually, first, let me just talk about, God, it really sucked that the Bears lost last week in an eker against Denver. I have no idea, Coach Fox, why on a 2-point conversion you decide to run the ball. I question that call a little bit personally, so that was a little nutty. We probably could have went into overtime. Cuddy, damn it, why the hell are you throwing picks in the third again? We thought we took you off of that habit. So anyway, there's my Bears gripe of the week. Let's also talk about the fact that there are no bye weeks this week for the first time in several weeks. Really awesome. Unfortunately, the waiver wire still has to be used this week in a lot of cases because there was a myriad of injuries last week. Make sure you download, if you haven't already, the Big Balls Fantasy Football app. We will get you injury updates and player updates every single week. We're very sorry that we did not get you the Marshawn Lynch injury last week, and sorry to say that we thought he was playing because everybody thought Marshawn Lynch was playing. And, of course, I was watching the Bears game and wasn't keeping track of the fact that they decided to do a last-minute scratch on Marshawn Lynch. Wouldn't have helped me anyway because I dropped Thomas Rawls in the morning because the Seahawks said that he was a go. Well, turns out he might have a sports hernia. They're getting him checked out by an abdomen specialist, and who knows what he has. Just go get Thomas Rawls off the waiver wire if he's still there because he is your insurance policy if you really want to play that running game. And, of course, you'd want to because he went off. He went completely bonkers, getting you over 30 points in PPR. That's my gripe of the week. Anyway, I am thankful this week. Let me get right into my 2 go hards this week. My 2 go hard picks I think that you will be definitely thankful for playing because it will get you a lot of points. And I'm wearing one of them right now. Let's get to Matt Forte, running back on the Bears, of course. And he is back. He is going to be in a 1-2 punch situation with Jeremy Langford. It's going to be a very good Thanksgiving for the running game. Now, I know what you're saying. Hey, the Bears are playing the Packers in that late game, Greg. It might not be looking too good. But the Beast is telling you, Matt Forte is one of the only 2 running backs that has been able to put on up 100 yards on the strangely powerful Packer run defense. Back in Week 1, he actually ran for 141 yards, a touchdown, and then got 5 receptions for 25 yards through the air. Actually, I'm sorry, the Packers have given up 3 100-yard games. I'm looking at my notes. But anyway, the whole point is Forte torched them once, Forte can torch them again. So I think you got to definitely get him in your lineup. Packers' stingy run defense only gives up the 10th fewest fantasy points to running backs. You're going to see that on Yahoo, and it's going to scare you. Don't be scared. Matt Forte is going to lose his mind on Thanksgiving. He'll give me something to be happy about. As long as Cutler doesn't throw another pick, who knows? Maybe we can eke this out if the Packers don't get inside of Cutler's head like they always do. Anyway, let's get to my second go hard pick. It's Matthew Stafford over their quarterback on the Lions, and you're saying, Greg, the Lions have been playing like crap. They're in the basement. Why the hell do I want to pick Matt Stafford back up off the waiver wire? The reason why is he is a stud, a complete insane stud on Thanksgiving. Check out these stats. Thanksgiving 2014, last year against the Bears, 390 yards, 2 touchdowns. Whoa. Thanksgiving 2013 versus the Packers, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? He just loves to play well at Ford Field on Turkey Day. You got to get him in your lineup. There's no way you shouldn't be playing him, especially because the Lions are playing the Eagles, who have given up 10 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks, 5 of them last week to Jameis Winston, the rookie quarterback on Tampa Bay. The Eagles' secondary has been collapsing. It's just really pathetic. There's no reason not to play this lineup. If you have a weak matchup at quarterback, get in Matthew Stafford. I think he's going to put up a ton of points for you this week in relief. So let's get on to my first go soft pick. A little bit surprising here too. Tony Romo on the Cowboys quarterback. Of course, you wanted to play him. You were chomping at the bit to play him. Pros told you to pick him up off the waiver wire and stash him a few weeks ago. So you played him last week. Like I did in one of my leagues. I finally got to play him. And he was pretty damn good up against the Miami Dolphins. Didn't get you quite as many points as you might have wanted to, but gave you a solid performance. Unfortunately, the Cowboys are playing the Panthers in the middle of the day game on Thanksgiving, and the Panthers defense has been lights out. They've given up the 7th fewest points to wide receivers. They haven't given up a lot to quarterbacks either. So it's going to be a big coverage game. That is the way the Panthers have been winning games, is keeping receivers out of the end zone. Last week, like I said, against Miami, 227 yards, 2 touchdowns, but there's those 2 Romo picks, and that kind of set your scoring down a little low. Just the only person that has been able to really, really light up the Panthers D is Aaron Rodgers. He threw for 462 yards in Week 9, but otherwise, no other games have gone over 200 fantasy yards this season. So not a good matchup. I wouldn't be betting on Tony Romo to make you happy on Turkey Day. My second go hard and final pick of the week is AJ Green, wide receiver over there on the Bengals now. Bengals aren't playing on Thanksgiving, but they're playing this week, and they're up against a hardcore Rams pass defense. The Bears had trouble with the pass against them a few weeks ago. We were able to run like crazy against them, but that's about it. Passing-wise, actually, Andy Dalton the last 2 weeks, ever since he had that Monday night game up against the Texans, has kind of been flat. I know the stats looked good last week for Andy Dalton at the end of the game, but he was doing a lot of dip and dunking. He hasn't been heaving it up to his wide receivers. Eifert, the tight end there, of course, who Jenilee keeps telling you about, has been a complete stud. So in the process, your Marvin Joneses, your AJ Greens, all of them haven't been getting the catches, haven't been getting the targets. Rams pass defense gives up the 4th fewest points to wide receivers. They've only given up 100-yard game all season. That was to Antonio Brown way back. AJ Green, since Week 8, he had a really good Week 8, and since then, his highest yardage game was against Arizona last week. He only went 4 for 79 yards. Yes, I know. Looks great, really great for PPR, but no touchdowns. He's only had 4. AJ Green has only had 4 touchdowns all season. So, again, I know Jenilee loves her AJ Green, but I'm sure the last few weeks she's been just like, what the hell is going on? So anyway, those are my picks for this week. Again, have a happy Thanksgiving. Don't forget to go to bigballsfantasyfootball.com, our hub, to get all your information. We have information about our cast of our show. It'll send you, it's our hub, our social media hub. It'll send you to our Instagram. It'll send you to our Facebook page. And of course, it'll direct you right to download our app. Of course, make sure you get that app over there at the Google Play Store and at the Apple Store. So this is Greg signing us off for the week. Don't eat too much stuffing, and don't get too drunk. And if you do not drink and drive on Thanksgiving. DUI is nothing to be thankful for. Have a great week.